Good morning. I'm re-recording this movie from last night because it was a little bit chaotic. Let's understand first. It's not good to name this as a new user actually, because we are not creating a new user with this mockup. Actually, we are creating an account, right, for it. So let's rename this create account. Create account. Let's fix this up. Here, create account. And also in the view. Okay, so we would actually create an account for Mr. Snoopy in case if Snoopy comes along at the day of the training and asks, oh, I have registered, but I did not set my password or whatever because Snoopy did not receive an email yet, right? Where we offer to set a password to create an account because this is optional. Okay, create account. This is the first thing what I wanted to fix on here. The second thing is I have overseen yesterday that there is a set flash data function which writes into the session thing, so we can use this. And we can use this function also at this position on here. So, okay, so now when we create an account, this is what would be happen after a user would have registered and received an email that the user has been registered, and within this email we would actually offer the possibility to set up an account, and this is this button on here at our point on here, like this mock-up in advance. And this button we will also protect later only for admin or for an employee of the tool house if this situation occurs that a customer arrives at the tool house and says, oh, I want to have an account, even if I have registered and ignored the email. Now, but currently there is no way to ignore an email because there is no email. So let's head to the Trongate doc on here. Whenever we are creating an account, we would enter data into our authentication table. But before we can enter this account data into our authentication table, we should set up actually the user in the Trongate's token system by taking into consideration that a proper user level on here is set. So let's make some user levels on here first. Oops. I had thousands of tries yesterday night. So let's make a user level of an employee, and let's make a user level of attendee, right? So 11. Okay. So we would create a Trongate user and learn out of it an ID, which we will store actually also beside in the auth table. So we have a relation to this system on here. Before we start to mess with the database, let's make a try and catch thing. Something goes wrong. Okay. And actually, what we could do, actually we should also die on here, right? We should stop execution on here. after we are guiding backwards. So so if something goes wrong with our database activities, we could use this, you know, to inform the user that something went wrong. Wrong while creating an account. Okay. Then we can add on here. Okay. So we have straightforward feedback. Okay. What we need to do to create an account is the following. Check if given email address exists in attendee table. So attendee is registered, right? We can just give an account to somebody who is registered. If this is the case, we will check if given email address exists in the auth table, which means attendee has already an account. We will just update password and this stuff. Okay. If both is not the case, then we will create a Trongate user and remember Trongate user ID. Okay. And then we will insert a account row in auth table by using Trongate user ID and attendee ID. The attendee ID is the ID of the attendees table where more details are put in, and on here we are checking against the email. This is the common one. Okay, so let's do it. Let's try to get the attendee. Okay. One, where, and we will ask the email column with the given email address from the table attendees, right? There's something messed up on here again. Okay, so if something goes wrong here, boom. Okay, if it's not found, then get one where returns a false, right? So we will then use this one again and say user not registered yet, please do this thing before. Okay, so if we survived this check on here, we can be sure that we have an attendee row. Okay, so now check if given email exists in the auth table. Okay, auth row, no account data, right? This model get one where, and now we are not, as we are using an email, but in the auth table it's the login name, because we use the given email as the login name to the account. So login name, email in the auth table, right? So, and the same again. If the account data is false, if it's not found, Then creating a new entry. But if not, we will update, okay, update account with new password. So we ensure run each table. Exactly. So, and this one here, we will also do this section there. Yeah. So if no account is existent, then we'll create a Trongate user and insert an account row. And if this thing is hit again, then we just reset the password. Okay. So create a Trongate user and remember a Trongate user ID. Okay. The Trongate user table will create, if we insert one here, an ID. Okay. But we have to provide a code and a user level ID. Okay. So our data for the Trongate users table. Trongate users table. Okay. Code. This is a random string. I cannot explain you what this is exactly for, but this I think is something if a user is not logged on in the system, and if the user issues a GET request by giving this random string, it's allowed to do something. But we will see this later maybe. So take these last two sentences not for gold. Okay, so now, and then we need to provide a user level ID. Okay. User level ID, and we can get to this user level ID as we have defined on here the levels. And if we are creating an account in the role of an employee, we want to create it for an attendee. So the ID is 11. Okay. Let's make this good looking. So, okay. And we will create a Trongate user ID when we insert data. Okay. Insert this one here into the table. Trongate users. Okay. If this succeeds, we have here a user ID. If something goes wrong due to our try and catch thing, PDO, which is underlying from this one here, will raise an exception, and we will get this data on here. The reason what went wrong. So we can continue starting on here that everything is fine. So, and now we have a Trongate user ID, and as we have found also an attendee in the attendee table, we have also within this object the attendee ID, right? This one here. So this ID and the Trongate users ID we need to combine here in our authentication thing, in our account thing. Okay, so let's have a look how the structure of this looks like. Let's make data AU for account or for aus table, and we need to complete login name. Okay, we want to use the given email address as the account name. Okay, the password, you will set the password which is given by password, but we don't want to store it in plain text, so we will use the password hash function of PHP and select password be crypt I think like this, or is a script password. No, password underscore bcrypt. I've just checked in my notes. Okay. We will activate also this user because this activation on here, this is done when the user has received the email, clicked on it, and then set a password for creating an account. Then this flag would be set. But now we are doing so we can activate it on here. We need to put an activation code. And we can use again this make random string on here, Trongate, but maybe we will make a little bit longer. Okay, and then we need to fill the attendees ID. And we know the attendees ID as we have the attendee here is the ID. Okay. And we need to put a Trongate user ID. Trongate user ID we learn from here. Okay. And this will now insert. And we will get account ID, whatever, but we don't need to use it actually. So this model insert the data for the house table into the house table. So, and if this worked out, then we could also, we can again send it back to the login page and says account has been created for giving email address, and then like this email, right? But you should actually add set afterwards the post data. So here, and then go back to, okay. So if the account data is already available, so we just need to update, right? So let's make this, and what we want to update, we want to just update the password, right? Take this one here, create it, then we'll call this model update, and now we need an ID of the account line, is account data ID, and we put this one here like this, and we'll apply this update to the table house. And this update function will only update this column in the database. So if we look at the implementation of this update thing, we see that this data is iterated, and for every key is adding this key, also update, and then column, yeah, column equals something, where target table, boom, 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 yeah. So only this column is updated. If this works out, we would write password has been updated. We'll give you an email address. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so let's try. Let's try. So Snoopy 3, 4, 5, 6, create account. Account has been created for given email address Snoopy. Okay. If we are doing it once more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Password has been updated for given email address. Okay. And if you look in our database, on the Trongate users table, we have here a user. You are wondering why there is so huge number. this is of yesterday evening, as I forgot to unset the post value, and I sent it back to the login, and then it went to a loop as the posted values have been still existing, and then it raised up this one here. But on here we have a Trongate user assigned to the user level of 11. It's an attendee. And in our auth table we have one entry, Snoopy password, the login name Snoopy Wilson, and the password. It's activated with the code, this ID, and the Trongate's user ID. Okay, let's call. And now we will head up to make the login thing, the login, and then we will ask or update actually the Trongate tokens table. So let's head now to our login function on here. Something wrong in data, okay, and here login user, okay, so it will mess around on here, and we will also try catch first. Video exception, and then we will use this one here again. Here, and we'll say something wrong while logging in, and we will simply add the error of the database on here. Okay, so the first thing is we will check again if the user is actually known, right? You can copy and paste. On here. So, and if account data is false, then we will guide back something wrong with your credentials. Okay. So now we know from the account data the password, and we know also the given password in the post. So what we can do, we could now use the password verify function of PHP. And if this does not succeed, we can also say and we check the password by using account and data password and compare it with the given using the post thing, right? So oops, and now we need to create a Trongate token. I don't know if I have showed it to you because I have re-recorded this movie a few times in my Excel sheet. So snippet token generation after user has been authenticated. I don't know why I need always to remove this tick. I don't know. So now we need to assign a user ID, and we know this information. This is also stored in our account data, right? Because our account data on here knows the Trongate user's ID. Okay. So let's do this. Trongate token, okay? And we will provide user ID. User ID. And this is account data. Trongate's user's ID. Okay, okay. User ID. Now we need to put an expiry date and also write a code, also shown on here. Also, yes. Let's make it 1 day. 1 day. Okay. Then as next we would do, we can set a cookie. Okay. And now we can load up the Trongate module, Trongate tokens. And simply call the method to create a token. But this is weird. This is from this Excel sheet, right? Data TT. Okay. And then we can also again give feedback. And we should actually stop the execution. We need to take care about this. So, okay. Logged in. Okay. That's it actually. Okay. So, Snoopy, let's make a wrong one. This is a wrong one. Something wrong with the credentials. Okay. If you simply click on it, also. Okay. So, Snoopy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Login. Oh, something wrong. Snoopy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Update it. Snoopy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Login. Something wrong. Oh, there's something wrong on here. So let's check. What's wrong? Are we really here at this position? Snoopy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we are on here. Yeah. So this password verify function does not succeed. Password verify password and a given password. What's happening here, friends? Snoopy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, wait a second. Oh, yeah. This is the received, okay. And we are sending. Okay. In this. Password verify. Hey, man. Password. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. It's the other way around, right? It's the other way around, I think, right? Reload. Okay, you are logged in. I messed up. So we need to first provide the password given by the post and then compare it with the stored password. In this way, it's correct. Okay, you are logged in. Okay. So let's, can we, oh, is it too late now? I don't know. Let's check. Cookies. And we have a Trongate on here. Trongate token. We received a token. We are actually logged in. Okay. Okay. So now the documentation says, no, on here, we can now ask get attempt a valid token. Okay. So let's try to teach our status method, which defines this button here. This status thing on here. No, there's a lot more things. And then we can ask if we would receive token. And it's copy and paste thing from the Excel thing. Let's have a look what's happening with this on here, what this thing is doing. So the levels is optional and it's plural, you see. So it checks if a cookie is existing. It checks if within the session it's written in, okay. If it's not set, false, okay. So, but if it's set user levels, these optional things in there, then it tries to figure out if it's an integer, 1, or if it's an array, okay. Then it's asking. And then it's asking actually the level 1 if the token is listed to one of these. Yeah. So let's start just easy. If you are logged in or not, okay. And it will return false if not. And if it succeeds, it will return the token. Okay. So we will need to ask on here if token is false. Return false. Else, no. Login, logout. No. This one. We are setting it, right? We are setting it. Okay, so here. And else, if we receive the token, it's true. Okay. So, and based on this one here, we are telling the status. Okay. So reload. This one should change to logout. Logout here. Cool. Yeah. Logout here. So it had realized it. Okay. Now actually I forgot how to how to log out. to watch we can go. Let's ask for logout. I forgot to look for it. Destroying tokens. Cool. So destroy. Oh, this is easy. Okay, so now if we are receiving the logout view file, right? On here, logout on here. And we will make on here also just a link. And we will base. I'm a little bit excited now. Base URL. Pause. Logout. We will just call this thing on here. Pause. Logout. Okay. So status login. Genau. Okay. We'll make here a function. Logout. Just make this. Right. And then we will just head to is there a redirect function or something in Trongate? Redirect. Okay, let's see. There is a redirect function Trongate. Redirect, and we will redirect to what? To our main index. Okay. Main index. Okay. Let's see if this works. Log out here. Click. Okay. Ah, but now we don't see here. Ah, log out. Log out. So, wait a second. Something is wrong with our start. New file. Login, log out. Ah. Login. Log out. Nee. Log out. Log out button. So. And what is our login page? Login. Something is weird. We are logged out. No, aus. Log out. Am I not allowed to use these underscore things on here? Log out. Now it writes login. Something went weird, right? So let's try once more. Login. Snoopy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Login. You are logged in. Ah, and then I should actually make a reload, right? Yeah. Okay. So after we have logged in, we should actually login user. We are logged in, set flash data, and we should do this, redirect this one here. Okay. So logout. Okay, login, Snoopy. 183.56, login. Okay, and we are back here and we are logged out on there. Okay. Cool. And that's it. First, let's check this movie